Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Movie Mortis, where Movie Madness lives. I'm Nick.
And I'm Drew.
And today we'll be reviewing Scream, the sequel to the first Scream movie. This film follows the return of Sidney from the first film, along with the other survivors, as Ghostface has come back to terrorize them on a college campus. Who is the murderer? Who could have done it? And who is terrorizing our protagonist? What did we think about this movie?
On, I think it is really good. I think it's a solid sequel. By the way, before we get any further in this podcast, this is the first podcast we've released since we got put on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all those different platforms. So welcome all the new viewers for any of those from any of those platforms. It's great to have you guys. We can find us on YouTube.
Yeah.
You can find all of our episodes on YouTube, as well as some other individual content that we do. Make sure to leave us a review, follow the podcast, and all that stuff, and follow the socials and all that stuff.
Heck yeah.
Anyways, enough with the shameless plugging.
Yeah. Well,
Scream 2.
Scream 2. Um I like Scream 2. I thought it was a pretty nice sequel, pretty solid sequel, and quite I mean, it does some things well. It definitely does a lot of things well, but in terms of memorability, I think it's on the same level. I think it's kind of on the same level, but oh yeah, spoilers ahoy, viewers. I didn't think the reveals were as effective as Scream 1.
I completely agree.
Yeah. So let's go in reverse order and talk about the finale, because since I already mentioned that. So throughout this movie, so similar to the first Scream movie, we have Scream 1 kind of plays out like a mystery, like we mentioned in our previous podcast. I listened to our first episode before we but like several days ago, just to recap everything. That way we don't sound like a broken record. And like there is that mystery there, and I'm gonna be real with you. I thought it was Joel, the cameraman for Gale, the new cameraman for Gale. I genuinely thought it'd be Joel.
Well, so this is a little bit of a guys. Just like in our first Scream episode, I'm going to be very randomly inserting random pieces of behind the scenes trivia throughout this entire podcast. So it's going to be somewhat disjointed, but I don't care.
It's okay.
Um, so you'll be interested to know that this movie went through many, many rewrites during
Oh,
production
I read more about the casting.
because of internet leaks.
Mmm. Do tell. I'm
And
curious.
so essentially the script kept leaking on the internet essentially, and so they had to revise the script constantly, and I think that really harmed the overall sort of cohesiveness of the story, I think, especially when it comes to the killer reveals.
Hmm.
Because I think the big reason why the killer reveals aren't as effective as in the first stream is that the two characters they ended up being the killers, Debbie Salt and Mickey Altieri, are basically both background characters. They're
Hmm.
not they're not like in the first one, Billy and Stu were major characters
They
throughout the whole
were.
story. They were part of the main friend group that the film followed. Whereas like Debbie Salt and Mickey are kind of like off to the side. Hell,
Yeah.
Mickey completely disappears after a certain point.
I literally forgot about Mickey. I genuinely forgot about Mickey. Like when I was watching him,
Dude,
I'm just like, what? Who are you? Like I
dude,
had to make sure like I didn't forget anybody from the first movie.
yeah. So Mickey he wasn't in the first movie. He's a new character. Um, but I remember when I first saw this movie several years back. When Mickey took the mask off, I literally just sat there for a second, like, who's? Oh yeah, it's the guy from that film class scene
Yeah,
earlier.
who did like the sequel
Okay,
talk with Randy, which I want to get
yeah,
more to that later. I want to keep talking about the reveals.
yeah. But I will say though, Timothy Oliphant, who plays Mickey, in the monologue scene, I think something where I think that basically what I'm saying is I think both Laurie Metcalf and who plays Debbie Salt and Timmy at the Oliphant who plays Mickey, I think you can tell they're both having so much fun with it in the
Mhm.
reveal scene. Like
Oh
dude,
yeah.
Mickey, his whole motivation is something that only a fucking psycho would come up with.
Oh my
Like
gosh, Mickey's
only
motivation
somebody
was
that's
just
completely out of his mind would come up with.
it's like I'm gonna blame the movies. They made me do it. It's like, oh my gosh, dude. Like this guy had to be taking the piss.
Yeah. Like this dude was completely out of his mind, and equally out of their mind is his partner Debbie Salt, aka Mrs. Loomis, Billy's
Yep.
mother. Uh,
Yeah. Cause
she's also out of her
she was like
fucking
one of the
mind.
other reporters, right? She was disguised as a reporter.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
like she
She
said,
she was the reporter that was constantly bugging Gail for a
oh
story.
yeah.
Remember?
Yeah, because like I said,
Yeah.
in the first scream, you kind of felt like you were part of the mystery. You were like trying to piece it together. Whereas the second scream, it's just like, oh, surprise! It's like, well, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, revenge, I guess it makes sense. Like they could have done this, like had this again. I know this movie was made a long time ago, but like they could have maybe built up and maybe have like Sydney recognize Billy's mom and just kind of Billy's mom still grieving and everything. That could have been a nice build up. You know.
Well, I think here's the thing too. Is like I think that would have basically ruined the plan because you have to remember. Actually, I don't even think this is stated in the movie, but you have to remember that the college, Windsor College, is in Ohio,
Uh,
whereas where in the first movie it's in California.
hmm.
So if you're Sydney and you recognize and there's these murders going on and you recognize Billy's mother, why the fuck would she be there? Why would she be there?
I guess that makes sense. I'm just saying like
Uh huh.
every
That
good
way
miss.
it would ruin. Yeah, she would get recognized immediately, and her plan would be fucked. Because why the fuck would she be there in Ohio?
I mean,
Why would Billy's mother be in Ohio?
every good mystery, I believe, needs to have the suspects laid out. It's like you need to build up, like have the viewer guessing, like it could have been this, it could have been that. Like you make the viewer like. I'm not saying I know it's gonna sound pretentious. You make the viewer think, like get them involved, immerse them in the mystery, and be like, oh, could it be him? Could it be that? Like in the first Scream, you never know who it could have been.
Hmm. In fact, going back to the whole script being rewritten a bunch, Mickey was never intended to be one of the killers.
Hmm.
And so the original script was Derek, Sydney's new boyfriend, and Hallie, her roommate, were both going to be the killers.
Oh, that could have
And
been something. That could have been good. That could have been cool.
yeah, and Cotton Weary would have ended up becoming a killer too
Oh,
at the
all
end.
right.
So
I actually liked Cotton's redemption. I genuinely liked it.
I do too. I do
Yeah.
too. Yeah, I like that Cotton. It's like in the first movie, Cotton Weary is just somebody you see on the TV screen for like 2 seconds,
Yeah.
whereas in this movie he has a major part to play. I will say though, and this
Hmm.
is something I brought up in my review of Scream 2. I did do a review of Scream 2 on the
Yeah.
Movie
Go
Wars
check that out,
channel a few
viewers on
months ago.
YouTube.
By the way,
Check out Drew's independent reviews of Scream 2 and a lot of other movies. We do independent reviews as well on YouTube, but our podcast is hosted on literally everywhere. Not literally everywhere, but
yeah,
on
even
Spotify, iHeart, Apple Music, and YouTube. So check if you want to see our own independent thoughts on certain movies that we may or may not cover on the podcast. Check out the YouTubes.
yeah, admittedly, I need to get more consistent about my individual review schedule, but that's another point.
Well, I'm a
But something I
workaholic,
did bring
so
up,
I was gonna.
something in
You're
my
fine.
something I brought up in my review, and this is kind of one of my criticisms of the movie, and this applies to Cotton Weary mostly, but it applies to other characters as well. So some of the red herrings in this movie. So okay, so in the first Scream, one of the one of the most fun things about rewatching the first Scream is when you know who the killers are, you can go back and see all the little hints to it on subsequent rewatches.
Mm-hmm.
You can't really do that as much on this movie because the two characters who are the killers, are barely even in the movie. And
Yeah.
so, and in order, and kind of related to that, in order to make a character seem suspicious in the
Mm-hmm.
first movie, the film would point out something about that character, Like, and there's that one scene in the first Scream when Sheriff Burke and Dewey are talking, and Burke puts out his cigarette and stomps onto it, and you can see the camera focuses on his boots, and
Mm-hmm.
you're like, wait, those are the same boots that Ghostface in the bathroom scene was wearing,
Mm.
huh? You
Yeah.
know, little things like that that the movie would point out to you, or that one time when Stu was feeling his forehead after that one at school when they were talking, you know, be like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
what did he get hit from?" Things,
Yeah.
little things like that. Whereas in
Exactly.
this movie, in Scream 2, a character just acts fucking suspicious as hell for no reason. Case
Exactly.
in
Yeah.
point, Cotton Weary in the library scene with Sydney.
Oh yeah.
Like, dude, you have no fucking reason to be acting like the way you are. Like,
Exactly.
you are like in certified creep mode with the way he's talking to Sydney, really like,
Mm-hmm.
frantically but quietly at the same time. And he's also
Yeah.
like touching her and shit. It's like,
That's
dude, are you trying to make yourself look guilty?
yeah. And again, I thought I Joel acted suspicious because, like, he's like saying, "Oh, I don't like murdering people, and I'm gonna go walk away from the van." And yet, Randy, when he died, I'll get to that later. Like, it's
Okay.
just like, and not to mention when Randy dies, he died in the van, and then like they pick up a videotape, and it's like, "Oh, that's not my tape." It's like, could that have been Joel? Could that have been Joel? Like, you laid out clues. Like, okay, like I'm not trying to racially profile Joel. Like, this is the clues that they gave out, and then turns out he's just like, oh hey, I'm back. I said I'd do news again. It's like, well, you could have done something with him. I'm not making the killer, but just
Yeah,
anything. Like,
yeah,
oh,
they originally did have another plan for him actually.
I want to hear it.
Um, he was he was gonna die.
Oh, oh,
He was originally gonna die, but I guess they changed it to just have him leave the movie.
yeah.
Which, to be fair, I will say though, Joel is probably like the smartest person in this movie for
Oh
that.
yeah, yeah.
He's
He's
just like,
definitely smart. It's
this
like,
shit, I'm
no.
out of here.
Oh yeah, that was funny. I thought that was funny. Which yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely thought Cotton could have also been kind of been the suspect too. Again, you had like two red herrings. You had two red herrings that were goodly built up. Like, am I saying the movie would have been better if they were the killers? Not really. But it just they built it up so well to make everyone a suspect. But well, not everyone, but again, they had built up for like the suspects, but they revealed the killers in the a very weak way. And I'm yeah.
Also too, if you make either Cotton or Joel the killers, you also have to think about motivation. Which Cotton would
True.
probably have a motivation,
Oh yeah,
considering the fact that
Cotton's motivation
he
would have
was in
been
prison
revenge.
for a year.
Yeah, but I'm actually
Yeah,
glad
yeah.
they went for
But
redemption for
for
Cotton.
Joel,
Sorry,
yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree.
for Joel, you
Oh
you
yeah, if you make Joel the killer, if you make Joel the killer, you have to come up with a motivation.
that's true. I don't know what Joel's motivation would have
That's
been.
also part of it.
Yeah, I don't know. But again, the way they set everything up, like they had like Joel and Cotton as the biggest red herrings, so that's why I kind of thought it could have been them. But Joel was kind of just like felt like a one note, side character, didn't do anything. Cotton, I love the redemption for. And before I go
Yeah,
on to
and
I'm speaking of keeping the viewers hanging, I'm gonna do the opposite of that and just go into a part I just mentioned. I texted you this
mhm.
once I finished with the movie. I did not like Randy dying.
Uh-huh.
Randy was actually becoming my favorite character in the whole franchise. Like, I loved him in the first movie. I loved him in this movie. I love how they start like the sequel talk in the classroom. I love that scene. Like I mentioned in the last episode, like I love them talking about horror movies and tropes, and they mentioned sequels. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is good. I love this. And like Randy, like
Yeah.
he's like I liked how he got brave with the killer on the phone. Like he's that phone scene would have been cool, but I'm just like, Randy, my boy, no, no, like Randy was good. It's like, please live. Oh no, he ain't living, man. It's like he was my favorite. He was literally becoming. He was my favorite
Yeah.
character. Like like
Yeah,
it just
something that Wes Craven did say in like several behind the scenes stuff was that they wanted to make Randy's death definitive. Like to the point where you cannot bring him back.
Well, uh,
which, to be fair to them, both Kevin Williamson and Wes Craven did later say that they regretted killing Randy, that that was a mistake.
why did they regret it?
Because because they sort of spent in a lot of the Scream sequels that are after this one, they really tried hard to fill that role of the movie geek role, especially in a movie like the Scream series where it's very meta, where it very comments on the state of horror movies and cinema as a whole.
Yeah.
You kind of need to have that movie geek character. They kind of spent a lot of time. They couldn't really fill that role again after Randy died, basically.
Oh, I know.
And
Randy
so,
was a real one. Like, it's just like I don't know if I'm ever going to sequels with the same with like the same energy now, because like I don't know if I like did they try and get a new character who's a movie geek, or is he just not there anymore? Is there no more movie geek because they killed off Randy?
well, there is a movie geek in Scream 4,
Mm-hmm.
5, and 6.
Yeah.
In Scream 3, in Scream 3, they actually tried to bring Randy back for Scream 3.
Ooh.
Um, the but the but the thing was they couldn't really figure out a scenario to where it would be believable.
Hmm.
Because there was a scenario that where in Scream 3, Randy would have been alive, but he would have been hidden by his family,
Oh.
for his own safety. But they couldn't make it believable because, well,
You know,
in
we saw
Scream
the
2, he
body.
really gets hacked to pieces. You saw the body, you saw the everything. Like, but they did, I won't get into detail, but they did find a fairly contrived way to bring him back for a cameo in Scream 3.
Oh.
So,
They could have like maybe said that the injuries he managed to survive his injuries, but just barely. But
but again, you saw the body.
I
That was what
know
makes
it's
it
like
difficult. You saw
call
the
call
body.
call it a cope. You know what? It's a cope. It's a freaking cope, man. Like if I had a nickel for every time I've had two of my favorite characters killed off. Well, actually, no. I'd actually have quite a bit of nickels, honestly. I was gonna make a Doofenshmirtz joke, but I've been subject to having favorite characters killed off. I just did a visual gag the viewers will never see,
Yeah.
but I'll explain it later, and I don't want to spoil something. But anyways, um,
Yeah, so I do remember reading an interview around the time when Scream 4 came out,
mm-hmm,
and Kevin Williamson was like, because I guess the interviewer was asking him because he wrote Scream 4. He
mm-hmm,
wrote Scream 1, 2, and 4.
yeah,
Um, and so the interview asked him about potentially bringing Randy back or in a future movie or whatever, and he basically said like, dude, we'd love to do it, but we just can't figure out a way for it to make sense. We made the mistake of making his death too definitive.
uh,
So,
well,
you know,
it's like it. You know, this is gonna sound like a weird comparison, but this is kind of like the equivalent of them killing off George Cooper from Young Sheldon. Which hear me out, okay? Hear me out. The both creators of said property regret killing off the character, like, because you know, Scream 2, they said they regret killing off Randy. They also Young Sheldon creator and Big Bang Theory creator said they regret killing off George Cooper, saying like if we knew Big Bang Theory blew up, we would have never made it so Sheldon's dad died. You have to stick with the
yeah,
canon,
and
man.
I will say this without getting too much into detail of some of the Scream sequels.
Uh huh.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go into a little bit of detail in Scream 6.
Well,
I'm not gonna go too much into detail,
it's all good.
but there is very much a character who, I'm just gonna say it, gets hacked to fucking pieces in the
Hmm.
third act. Gets stabbed a billion times by multiple ghost faces at once, and
Oh.
somehow is revealed to still be alive at the end. If you've screened any viewers who've seen Scream 6, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Was it? I was gonna make a joke asking if it was either
But
Invincible or Goku.
I'm just saying that because it's like, and to be fair, Wes Craven and Ken Williamson didn't make Scream 6. I mean, Wes Craven was dead by the time Scream 5 and 6 came out.
Oh yeah.
But still, it's like, the series is could be kind of picky and choosy which teams in terms of which characters die and who doesn't. Hell,
Yeah.
in Scream 2, when I first saw Scream 2 several years back, I 100% thought Dewey died in the audio room scene, where he gets
Mm.
stabbed to death by Ghostface, and
Yeah, that
and
that was
Gale is on the
strange.
glass watching him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was very
To be
strange.
fair, you didn't see to be fair, you didn't see his dead body for like 5 seconds like you did with Randy, but
Yeah, that's fair. Honestly, that is fair. Again, I miss you, Randy. I'm gonna miss you.
uh,
Like,
so yeah. Anyways, I will say though that sequence though I think is really good. Though
oh yeah,
with
the
the
cell phone.
build
It
up
was
and
really
how
good. Like, it was
Randy's
really
on the phone.
and you got like Gale and Dewey trying to like attack like suspect people who are carrying cell phones, and Randy like he's just not afraid to find Ghostface. He's just like, all right, come out, you little sucker. Except he didn't say sucker. He said a bunch of other mean words. Like he was
Yeah.
just like he taunted him too, going, he's like, at least Stu and hey, Stu and Billy were original. You're just a freaking copycat. Like he's
He says
taunting the
also a lot of
killer.
he says yeah, he says also a lot of mean things about Billy Loomis specifically.
Oh yeah. He even insults Billy and Stu. It's like, you could have copied any killer, but no, you picked Billy. It's like that's another thing about Randy is like, he's ready to protect Sydney, and I never saw him as like he did mention like he wanted the geek to get the girl in the end, which I thought was kind of sweet, but I always thought like him and Cindy were more like mutual friends, which I thought was kind of neat, but it would have been again, like
Yeah,
Randy said, it would have been nice if the geek got the girl.
yeah,
Well,
but
I wonder
well,
if he.
unfortunately the geek didn't get the girl, but he got the knife. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
but
Well, maybe,
that
maybe. Well, can I spoil another movie? Or
sure.
he'll be happy about Happy Death Day. I'll say that much.
All right. Well, don't go too far into that because I haven't
I
seen
won't.
those
I
movies
won't.
yet.
I won't.
Um.
But
Uh.
if
So
you ever do
I
see
will
it,
say,
just
look,
forget I
like I
said that.
was,
Anyways, you first. You first.
but
You first.
but like I was kind of just saying, that whole sequence with Randy on the phone and Gale and Dewey tackling anybody who has a cell phone, which watching this in 2026 is funny because like everybody has a cell phone nowadays.
Oh yeah. Honestly, that's like that could be a realistic scene. That could be a realistic scene that nowadays, Like, everyone now has a cell phone, and because
Yeah.
that's another thing I want to mention. I'm gonna segue this. I feel like the camp in this movie was amped up to 11 compared to like the last one. Like the first one was also funny, but this one. There's something about it that felt more campy, and I respect it. Like it doesn't go into scary movie territory; it becomes a parody of itself. Like it just like it succeeds by kind of driving the funnies up to a lot by like driving up the funnies more than the first one. You know what I mean?
Well, I also think it drives up the horror in some scenes too. Like
Oh
you have
yeah.
that one chase scene with Gale in the film studio.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's
That's a
true.
very like drawn out sort of like chase sequence that really like amps up the horror. And that's like one of my favorite chase sequences in the entire series. Like it's
I
so
see.
good.
Um,
So it's kind of backtrack a little bit. What did you think of the opening scene?
the opening scene. Okay, I have something funny to tell you about that. I mentioned this off camera, but so viewers, I made a mistake of watching Scary Movie first before I saw Scream 2. So I didn't know which movie came first. So I genuinely thought Scream 2 was paying an homage to Scary Movie 1. But turns out Scream 2 came before Scary Movie 1, and Scary Movie 1 parodied the theater scene. I thought it was interesting how we had like the. So this is a very interesting thing because you know how it's like a horror cliche where the black guy always dies first?
Yeah.
Like I find it funny how they kind of play that cliche while also kind of calling it out verbally. And I do think it's weird. I thought it was kind of weird at first, but on the other hand, I did find it very interesting how the character died in a movie theater full of like Ghostface cosplayers and just early screenings. So it was like the perfect camouflage. So it is kind of scary how someone is actually getting stabbed, but everyone else is cheering. It's it's a little horrifying, but at the same time, like it's but it is a little horrifying. It's like, oh crap, no one cared. But then they realized, holy crap, she actually is dead. Never mind then. But that being said,
Well,
thinking
also
back
too,
on
yeah. So you also have to think too. The opening scene when that Jada Pinkett and Omar Epps are getting stabbed. It's at a screening of Stab, the in-universe movie about the events of the first Scream film.
Oh yeah.
And so I think it's also, and something that we talked about a bit in our first Scream episode was that kind of a running theme throughout the entire Scream series is
Hmm.
how the media, whether it be traditional news media, movies, social media, whatever,
Hmm.
will often take these tragedies and turn it into spectacle.
Oh yeah.
And I think the opening scene of this movie is probably the clearest example of that. I mean, you have
Oh
to think
yeah.
about it. Like I was just saying, it's about a movie based on real murders, and
Hmm.
a bunch of the people, and if at the movie theater, they're handing out Ghostface costumes, they're handing out actual serial killer costumes in this universe. Like that,
Yep.
this would be like this would a real life equivalent to this would be like if you went to a movie about John Wayne Gacy and they were handing out pogo costumes before the movie.
Oh
Like
my
that's
gosh.
like that would be that's basically what they're doing. That's basically what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that is yeah, because like they do that with movies now. Like the first one was about news kind of taking a tragedy and exploiting it, and now it's about the movies.
Well, it's a movie that was based on the book that was written by Gail Weathers
Yep.
from the first movie, and Gail is back trying to
Cash
capitalize
in.
on these
Yep.
murders.
Yeah. Going back to I did read a little bit of trivia, but all the top IMDb trivia was about the casting. But there's one that stood out to me. This in the script, one scene literally said, "Wes Craven will make it scary." I'm not
Yes,
kidding.
because I get because Kevin Williamson, after the success of the first Scream,
Hmm.
was like he was very very busy as you might expect. He became a hot commodity very quickly, so
Oh
he
yeah.
literally didn't have. Wes Craven himself had to do uncredited rewrites, partly
Oh
just
my
because of
gosh.
internet leaks, partially because they didn't have time to flesh anything out, because those stupid motherfucking Weinsteins really wanted a movie out less than a year but after the first movie.
Good lord. As if the Weinsteins weren't being
because
mean to
because
women, they also have to be mean to. They also have to like interfere with creators. And believe me,
to be
between
fair, the Weinsteins weren't the only ones interfering with creators, but yeah.
but I know I figured. I mean, I have a story. I have one story, funny story I like to tell people about like Bong Joon Ho and Harvey Weinstein, but that'll be for when we ever decide to cover Snowpiercer. Yeah.
Um,
But anyways.
but yeah, so this movie was rushed into production. Like when I'm pretty sure like when they started filming, the first Scream was still in theaters when they
Mm-hmm.
started filming.
Yeah.
Like it was this is the very definition of a rushed production.
Mm-hmm.
And so and I think that but so it's like for the movie to be as good as it is, I think is a testament to the talent of everybody involved.
Oh yeah. And I think Scream 2 is a very solid sequel. Like again, like yeah, yeah. The fact that knowing this movie was rushed into production was insane because I learned a lot of the actors were working on multiple projects while also working on Scream too. Like a lot of actors had their own television shows. One actor I can't remember his name had to work on two movies all at the same time.
Yeah, because so I believe Nev Campbell, who plays Sydney, was doing Party of Five at this time. Courtney
Mm-hmm.
Cox, who plays Gail Weathers, was doing Friends.
Mm.
David Arquette, I don't know if he had a big TV show at the time, but he was a professional wrestler, so he had that going
Oh
on.
dang.
Um, yeah, so it's like everybody was busy doing other stuff, but so like they had to
Yeah.
find time to fit Stream 2 into their schedules. But
Yeah.
so yeah,
That's
but I
yeah.
think
It's
again,
just
like we were talking about earlier with the killer reveals, it's like the rush production as well as the scripts leaks. I think it does kind of come through in the final product.
oh yeah. Like you'd almost think this movie would be like a production hell, but from what I've read, it didn't seem like it.
Yeah. The only like production hell was just how fast they had to do everything.
Yeah.
But no, no accidents, no injuries, nothing like that.
Mhm.
Um,
One scene.
I
Sorry,
also
did
do
you have
think
anything
this
to say? You first.
I will say, although, there are some pacing issues, though, I think with this movie. Some of the pacing can be a bit off sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, another thing I wanted to mention about the opening scene, real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I mentioned this in my review. It's a perfect contrast to the opening scene of the first Scream movie. Because
Oh,
in
good
the
tell.
opening scene of the first Scream movie, it's an isolated location, right? It's a house
Mm-hmm.
in the middle of nowhere, and there's only like, it's just between Casey and the killer and her boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in this movie, it's in a crowded public area with tons of people around. You'd think you'd be safe in that environment,
Oh
but
yeah.
nope, not with everybody wearing ghost face costumes.
Mm-hmm. I
And
think
so
it's
the and
I
so
think
the
it's clever
tension and so
how horror movies can do that. They can make public areas feel unsafe.
yeah, and the tension in this movie, like the tension in the opening scene of the first Scream, comes from the interaction between Casey and Ghostface. Whereas
Oh
in
yeah.
this movie, there's no opening like phone call scene, but the tension comes from the fact that everybody there is wearing a Ghostface costume, and it's like you
Mm-hmm.
figure that there has to be at least one of those ghost faces has to be there out to kill.
Oh
So you
yeah,
don't know where they're
definitely.
going to come up from.
You
You don't know where they're going to come from.
yes, yeah, that is true. Like I said, I think it's very interesting how Scream 2 and there's some other horror movies out there that make like public spaces feel unsafe, which I think drives the horror up a lot. And also, yeah, that's I thought I had more to say, but I think I'd like to talk about other scenes. Drew, got anything to say more on the opening scene?
Not really.
All right.
What other scenes would you like to talk about?
There was two that came. There was two that came to mind. First one I'll get the one out of the way because I think it's easier for me to put into words. The scene where the bodyguard taxi crashes into the steel pole. Ghostface is unconscious. Sydney and her therapist are, or her, I don't know if it's her girlfriend or
That was
supposed
that was her
therapist,
roommate.
her roommate
Her
are in the back
roommate.
of the car. Yes, her roommate. They're in the back of the car and they need to get the heck out. But the only way to get through is to sneak past Ghostface. Like
That
it's
scene
tense.
is so good.
Yeah, it is, and I like how the guards are
That
actually
scene is
just.
so
I was gonna say like just the whole car scene in general, because like when Ghostface appears, the bodyguards are actually desperately trying to help Sydney out, and they're actually trying to fight Ghostface, but Ghostface somehow gets the upper hand of them despite being Secret Service members, and then he crashed in the car. It's all quiet. It's like, oh, let's get out on the sides. No, we can't. It's like we have to go through the front. And just like at any moment, Ghostface could wake up. And I don't know if Ghostface was genuinely unconscious that whole time or just like he. I didn't know why Ghostface just could have just simply started stabbing Sydney or the other girl in hopes to choke him out. Well, no, it was Sydney. It was Sydney because she opened the door from the outside. You know,
yeah.
it's
I
like
will
any
say though,
moment
as
Ghostface.
as good as that scene is, part of me always thinks whenever I watch that scene, just take off the mask.
I
Just rip
know
that mask right off of him.
exactly.
You rip off that mask, it's all over. Like normally I don't complain about like weird logic things like that, but just rip off the fucking mask.
Take it off. Take off. Take your damn mask off. I wonder if anyone will get that reference.
Yeah, that scene is so good. It's generally like one of the most tense scenes in the movie. And I also have to think too, those two cop characters, one of them gets probably the most brutal death in the movie. The pole just goes right through
Oh
his
yeah.
fucking head, and you see his like
Oof.
in his body twitching and shit.
What do you think is more brutal, that death or the garage door death from Scream One?
Probably this one just because there's a little more gore.
Ah.
And it's like it's so just uncomfortable to see the body and the hands just twitching,
Oh my
as
gosh, I
as
forgot about that.
the
Yeah,
life goes away.
like, dude, that makes it more disturbing because that just means he didn't die on impact. He died a slow death. Like, you know what that reminds me of?
Yeah.
It reminds me of there's I see this in like a lot of top 10 videos, but there's from the Tomb Raider reboot where if he fails certain quick time or like Laura Croft just gets impaled through the head on a pole, and that shit's like. And even to
Yeah.
see her struggling trying to get out, I was
Yeah.
like, that shit's disturbing. It's like, what is it with like freaking fictional media? I mean, that's like a terrible way to die. Now, just getting impaled, you know, like with a giant thing. Because like
Yeah.
you want to get out, but you think it might make it worse. Like fucking, that's horrifying. And both Scream 2 and Tomb Raider reboot elaborate pretty much showcase that.
Yeah, and it's also because something that Randy talks about in that one scene with Dewey when they get ice cream was
Mm-hmm.
how sequels amp up the body count and the gore.
Mm.
And so that's an example of the sort of like meta commentary about sequels, how there's
Yeah.
more gore in sequels.
More gore. That's true.
And
That is.
here's another piece of trivia. This is
Let's hear it.
something that I don't think we actually talked about with the first one, even though it's something that we probably should have talked about.
Uh
But
huh.
for those of you that are Scream fans, you'll probably know that Wes Craven had to submit the original Scream to the MPAA like 7 or 8 times to get an R rating because they kept giving it an X rating or an NC-17. I mean, sorry,
Why though?
because of the violence and all that stuff. So when they were doing Scream 2, Wes Craven had this idea, you know what? I'm just going to submit to the MPAA this super ultra violent cut that's way violent than anything I ever intended. And so they'll predictably tone down the violence and we can just get away with the violence we want because it's
Hmm.
like, a comparison, right, of the
Yeah.
ultra violent cut and the regular cut. You guys get what I'm saying. Um,
Hmm.
but oddly enough, the MPAA was totally fine with the ultra violent cut.
Oh my gosh.
But for some reason, they decided to just go with the tamer cut, anyways.
It's crazy. That
Yeah.
is weird. Did the same thing happen to Scream 2 or no?
What?
Did the same thing? I mean, it's a ridiculous question, but since I'm a newbie to the Scream series, did the same thing happen to Scream 2?
The same thing.
Like, did
What
they
do you
have to
mean by the
submit
same thing?
another cut to the MPAA?
No, because what they did with Scream 2 is what I just told you. They submitted an ultra violent cut, than a cut that was way more violent than what they intended, so that
Oh,
the
okay.
MPAA would predictably tell them to tone down the violence,
Oh,
and so that way they
I,
can get away with the violence that they wanted to go with initially.
okay. I thought you were talking about the first one. I got confused. I'm sorry. Am I still confused?
No.
Okay, I got confused. I got confused. Okay, that's so go.
What was the other
Oh yeah.
scene you wanted to talk about?
It was the drama scene, the Troy play, like where Sydney was being the main character. I'm not familiar if with Troy, or I don't even know if it's a real musical, but the Troy scene where like Sydney is being told by the director, "Oh, this is perfect. Get a kind of you should know this. Try to think of that experience where she's kind of being tormented by all those like dancers with fake knives, so she sees Ghostface and she gets so horrified
Yeah.
she runs off stage." Like, was that actually Ghostface or was that Sydney having a psychological breakdown?
I'm not sure because you could argue either way, to be honest.
Yeah.
I do know that. So, did you know that before Wes Craven's film career took off, he was an English professor?
No,
I
no.
bring that up because this play, I think, is something that he taught about. So I think the play is called Agamemnon or something. I don't remember the name
Hmm.
of the play, but it's about this girl who has this ability to see the future, but nobody believes her.
That's crazy.
And so it kind of ties into Scream because as Sydney is having these psychotic breakdowns where she sees Ghostface in the play, and people are telling her all these different things that it's not a big deal, not a big deal. We're not reliving what's going on in Woodsboro.
Hmm.
There's a scene earlier on with Randy when he's trying to convince her that it's not a big deal and this has nothing to do with us and blah blah blah. You remember that scene? It's the one where Randy randomly becomes British. That scene.
Oh, that scene. I read about that scene. I read about that scene. Like Randy said, he had no real reason to do it. He just did it anyways.
Yeah. But because it's Jamie Kennedy, he can get away with it. He
Oh
can
my
just make it
gosh.
work. It's so random, but it works.
Oh my gosh. That's insane. Like
Uh,
I don't know
oh,
what
and
to
by the way,
say about.
another little thing about Randy
Hmm.
in that scene where they're discussing, film sequels, whether that one classroom scene, in that part where the student says to Randy that line from Alien or
Hmm.
Aliens,
Yeah.
it's so in the script, the film student was supposed to say the correct line, which is "Get away from her, you bitch." That's the line from
Yeah.
Aliens. But the guy who was playing the film student got it wrong and uh, got it right. got the line right and said, "Get
Hmm.
away from her, you bitch." And then Jimmy Kennedy, just instinctually said what the film student was supposed to say, and
Hmm.
so he said, "Stay away from her, you bitch." So it's like sort of the opposite of what was intended to happen happened.
That's crazy. That's wild. Speaking of which, this is since we're still on trivia. Did you know that actors who? What do you think of the "I Think I Love You" scene where Derek sings that to Sydney in front of everyone in the cafeteria? I thought that was like part of the corn, the cheese of the movie. If that makes any sense, I think that's part of the cheese of the movie. Of just because I noticed like going back to the cheese and corniness in the movie, like since it takes place on college, you got all these weird college kids like, oh, we're in a sorority, the Greek alphabet houses, and you got like freaking Derek singing "I Think I Love You." Apparently, all the actors who auditioned for Eric had to sing that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Okay, so the other day when we decided to do Scream 2, I texted you that
Mm-hmm.
there's one scene in Scream 2 that I absolutely despise.
Uh huh. Which one is that?
It's that one.
Oh my gosh, do tell us about that scene. Let the hate flow
I
through.
fucking, I fucking hate that goddamn scene. I
Hmm.
hate it so much. That scene alone drops Scream in my ranking, in my franchise ranking. That's why it's below Scream 4. I hate the
Damn.
scene. It's the scene reeks of secondhand embarrassment. It's so awkward. I don't know what's the fucking point, but I don't give a fuck. And two, it just feels tonally out of place to me to just have this random high school musical scene in a fucking slasher movie. Yes, I know it's you know there's elements of corniness
Comedy.
in these movies and all that stuff, but it's like I hate it. I hate it. I fucking hate it because I know the point of that scene is that Derek gives Sidney his Greek letters. You could have literally have him done that at some other point in the fucking movie. I
Yeah.
fucking hate this goddamn scene and it should have been cut. Ugh.
That's fair. That's fair. I just think, how do you feel knowing that like every person who auditioned for Derek had to sing that?
I feel sorry for them.
Imagine, oh my god, so imagine not getting the part even if you had to sing "I Think I Love You." It's like,
I will say though, as much as I don't like that scene, Jerry O'Connell, he's so good in that role as Derek.
mhm.
Um, and secondly, by the end of the movie, by the time Derek died, I did kind of grow to like Derek, even though he is kind of a dumbass. But
I don't think he deserved to die, man. I don't think he deserved to die.
I agree. I agree.
Like the way they fucking set up his death, it's just like, is the whole college in on the ghost space killing? Like, it's like, how dare you give away your letters? Let's tie him up to the freaking Troy
Yeah.
thing and all that. It's like, and then like he gets like dragged off onto the theater. It's like, is the whole college in on the ghost space killing? You know,
Well,
it's
I
just
don't know,
like,
but that's not a sorority I want to join though.
me neither. I don't want to join a sorority. I'm glad he went to community college and not freaking, I don't know, Ohio State University, where I don't know, these like freaking like, especially I remember there's like a story nowadays where like police raided a sorority house and found like a lot of people being like hazed in a basement. Fuck hazing, man.
Yeah.
We don't. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I did like Derek, even though, like I said, he's a bit of a dumbass. But you know, he was an endearing dumbass. So
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I
He was dumb, but he meant
I
well.
call him a dumbass. I call him a dumbass because earlier on in the movie, after the murders start happening, and Sydney gets the those two detective guys to watch over her, and Sydney's telling Derek, "Hey, you should stay away from me for your own safety." And he is like, he's like, "That's not supposed to be me, and is it?" It's like, what? It's like, what are you implying, dude? And Sydney's face just
Hmm.
says, "I think you might be a murderer," written all over it. It's like, dude,
Ooh.
you know what your girlfriend's been through. Like,
Yeah.
give her some fucking space.
Hmm.
Like, of
Like
course,
before,
Sydney's not going to trust anyone once murders start happening again.
before I ever watched Scream 2, I thought Randy and Sydney would develop some relationship, but I was wrong.
You were very wrong.
But going back to what you were saying, did you have anything else to say? Because I thought I had to add on to something, but then I forgot. But yeah, Derek, like, he meant well. He really meant well, but he was just a little. He was a little.
Yeah.
He he wasn't the brightest.
Yeah. But he,
Sorry, there was.
like you said,
Oh,
like you said, he meant well.
yeah. I want to talk about Dewey because so there's two. There's like I think Dewey was. I thought Dewey was kind of an upgrade in this movie. Something about him just felt a lot more competent in this movie. I'm not because I completely misread his character in the first one, but something about the second movie just he feels more like competent. He feels more efficient. Like he ain't afraid. You know, like what do you feel about Dewey in this movie?
Dewey is amazing in this movie. Dewey's amazing in everything, in all the movie, all the Scream movies he's in. Yeah, I very much agree with what you said. He seems a lot more. He doesn't necessarily have that sort of element of. This is gonna sound bad, but that element of doofiness, if that makes sense. And no, I don't mean that as a scary movie reference. I mean that in
Ah,
terms of like he doesn't
dude,
he doesn't have that like he doesn't have that like element of like, oh, I'm not the best at my job. It's like, no,
yeah,
he seems like he
like
knows what he's doing in this movie for the
dude,
most part.
he is like
Until that one scene, at least, when him and Gail go into the projection room in the film studio and they're viewing those tapes and they just start fucking.
oh, dude, yeah, yeah. He still kept like the sexually active cop and news for like
Yeah.
speaking of like the audio room, like here's something funny. Like when he enters the room, you notice like his hand is in a gun position. I watched
Yeah.
this on Paramount Plus. I thought they digitally
Hmm.
altered that for some reason. I thought they did like the Steven Spielberg let's replace guns with walkie talkies thing, but no. Turns out it was just muscle memory, and because they filmed on a college campus, they couldn't do guns. He couldn't bring a gun. Plus, he's a retired officer too. Like I genuinely
Yeah.
thought like they
Yeah.
had to digitally alter a gun out of his hand because like he entered the room with his hand. Like my viewers, you can't see this, but unlike the previous gag I did, I'm gonna explain it. Like I'm holding my hand and like I'm holding an invisible gun, but I'm not doing like a finger gun.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually didn't notice that actually. I've seen this movie a
Yeah,
handful of times, several times, and I didn't
yeah.
notice that.
That's like apparently they said it was like a muscle memory because like Dewey's not like since he's a retired cop, but he's still trying to do Cindy right. It's like dang. It's like it's and apparently it's been a huge debate amongst Scream fans. Like, wait, did they just digitally alter a gun out of his hand? But no, it's just
No.
him just kind of doing a muscle memory thing, you know. So yeah.
And but yeah, I like Dewey. I also really like what they did with both Dewey and Gale in this movie. This is
Mm-hmm.
like the for Gale, I think this is the clearest like arc that she has in the series, where she starts out wanting to like cash in on the murders and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But by the end of the movie, she's just concerned that Dewey is alive. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
she's not
Yeah.
concerned. She's not concerned about getting the scoop or anything. She's just concerned. She even hops in the ambulance with Dewey, even
Oh
when
yeah.
Joel comes up with her with a camera and a microphone and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I will say
Yeah.
though, I know we haven't.
It makes.
I know
Sorry,
over
first.
time we're gonna. I know over time we're gonna get to the Scream sequels. One of my complaints about all the Scream sequels after this one is that they tend to rehash a lot of character arcs, and
Oh
Gale
dang.
being the biggest one.
Oh boy. I hate it when sequels do that, man. Like I know I don't know if I'm gonna do an episode on this, but I did not like Wreck It Ralph 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet, because they literally just undo Ralph's character arc, and I hate it when sequels do that. Like they just
Yeah.
it's like yeah, I get it, but like yeah, but so if I ever get around to if we ever do get around to stream sequels, I don't even know if we'll even be able to have an episode worth of content to talk about. But I'm thankful there's a lot to talk about in Scream 2 because it's just Scream 2 has its own identity, and one thing I want to bring up with Scream 2 is that I like how it makes use of just being taking place in one location, and that is the Ohio College. I like that. Like, it feels like it's in a different environment, a different atmosphere, and it gives them more opportunities to do things with the location instead of just a town and high school. You know,
I completely agree.
I did read a
Yeah, I
bit of the
don't.
synopsis. Sorry, first.
No, go ahead.
I did read a bit of synopsis of Scream 3 where it takes place in a movie studio. So if we ever get around to Scream 3, I am looking forward to seeing what they do with a movie studio because there's so much if you change a location, that gets your brain to think and imagine like what can we do in this location,
Yeah,
So,
I will say though about Scream 3, it is the tamest of the Scream movies. It leans much more into the comedy than the horror for
mm,
reasons that we'll talk about when we talk about that movie. And also in my opinion, well, up until Scream 7 at least, that was the worst Scream movie,
ooh.
but it ain't anymore.
Wait, Scream 7 is
But
not the
anyways,
worst?
no, Scream 3 is not the worst anymore because of
Oh,
Scream
okay.
7.
Okay.
But
I
we'll
misheard
talk
you.
about that later. But we'll
Indeed,
talk
later
about that
indeed.
another time.
But yeah.
um, but yeah, I agree with you on the location. The location feels very. It has a, like you said, much like the first film. It has its own identity. It very
Yeah.
much feels like a real university, a real place where students go about their day and go to class and all that stuff.
Hmm.
Um, what did you think of the soundtrack compared to the first one?
I didn't think it was as memorable as the first one.
I agree. I agree.
I didn't think it's as memorable because you mentioned like they have.
I recognize they did bring back Red Right Hand for the opening scene, Red Right Hand by Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, but outside of that, there wasn't a whole lot to really write home about in terms of the soundtrack.
Hmm. Yeah, and I feel like this could be a separate topic. I feel like what makes a good movie soundtrack is like something that's memorable, like a tune that sticks with you.
Yeah.
Whether it be the main theme or just a scene, a song in a certain scene, or just like you understand the vibe and atmosphere, and you can identify like, oh, this is that movie, or you think it's that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't get that a lot from Scream 2, honestly. And also, and I don't know why, I don't know, but like I feel like with Scream 2 taking place at a college, something about it feels very like maybe it's because we're college students. Like something about it feels like very like they were able to save a lot more money of just having one location.
Yeah,
I don't
although
know,
this
but
movie did have a bigger budget. This movie did have a bigger budget than the first one.
makes me wonder if it went into all the practical effects, especially for the killings, the bigger body count. And I'm not holding
Yeah.
it against the movie, but just if you have if money saved on a location, may as well use that money for something else. So it'd be marketing, casting, post production. Make use of it.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what else do I have to say about this movie? Yeah, I've pretty much said everything I need to say about this movie.
I
So
did
I don't
too.
have much else to say.
I enjoyed Scream 2. It was a very nice follow-up sequel. It expanded on the humor, expanded on the kills. Rest in peace, Randy. All right, that's I miss you, man.
R.I.P. Randy.
Yeah,
R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Randy.
Randy. And yeah, that's about it. Is that? Do you have any closing words, Drew?
Yeah, Scream 2, in my opinion, it's a very good sequel. It's definitely one of the better horror sequels out there. But it's also one of those sequels where it's like in many ways it does try to redo what the original already did, but it does so not quite as well. But overall, I still think it's a solid sequel. Although I do think a handful of the Scream sequels are better than this one. Having
Hmm.
said that, though, it's still a very good sequel. And I mean, I would say go watch it, but I hope that most of you who have sat through this podcast have seen it because we spoiled the hell out of it.
Yeah,
Um,
spoiler. I even
but
warned in like the 2 minute mark. Spoiler alert! Like we literally started at the end and went just from the beginning. We literally talked about this movie in reverse order.
yeah, when we talk about Scream 3, we should actually start at the beginning.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair. But yeah, I think
Because
in a
I
way.
will say one thing that because one thing that makes Scream 3 a bit unique is that the opening scene actually involves a returning character.
Ooh. But I feel like
I'm
in a
not
way
gonna
this
go into detail, but
much like Scream 2, many of its features, us talking about this movie reverse order gave this episode an identity of its own. Zing.
even though that's
Yeah.
kind of what we did on the first Scream.
Oh right, yeah, we did do
We-
that. I think I literally re-listened to that episode. Anyways, folks, this has been the Movie Morris podcast. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and follow the socials. And be sure to follow us on both Spotify, Apple Music, iHeartRadio, and everything else that we've posted. Thank you all so much once again for listening, and congratulations to all the students who have recently graduated and survived.